This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have the chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. Pause. At the end, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1. In this part, you will hear a telephonic conversation, and based on that you will get 10 questions. First, you have some time to read questions 1 to 6. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning, Broadway Theater box office. This is Megan speaking. How may I help you today?
Hi, my name is Alice Thompson. I'm interested in volunteering as an usher for your summer theater festival, and I was hoping you could tell me more about it.
Absolutely, Alice. We're always looking for enthusiastic volunteers, especially for the festival season. Have you volunteered at a theater before?
No, I haven't, but I've attended quite a few shows, and I love theater. I saw a flyer about the volunteer program in the coffee shop near the university.
That's great. Our festival will run for 3 weeks, starting on July 22nd and ending on August 10th. We're expecting a busy season, with performances almost every evening and weekend matinees.
That sounds wonderful. What are the main duties for volunteer ushers?
Ushers play a vital role. Your tasks would include greeting patrons at the doors, checking tickets, handing out programs, showing guests to their seats, and assisting anyone who needs help during the show. We also rely on ushers to keep the aisles clear and help maintain safety procedures.
I see. Do volunteers need to be available every night of the festival?
Not at all. We ask ushers to sign up for at least 4 shifts over the 3 weeks. Each shift is usually about 4 hours, either from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for evening shows, or from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for weekend matinees. Many volunteers like to do more.
That's manageable. Do you provide any training?
Yes, all new ushers attend a 1-hour orientation before their first shift. This covers customer service, emergency exits, and general theater etiquette. The next orientation will be on Saturday, July 15th at 11 a.m. in our green room.
Is there a minimum age requirement?
Yes, volunteers must be at least 18 years old. There's no upper age limit.
That's fine. I'm 21. Is there a dress code?
We ask ushers to wear black trousers or a skirt and a plain white shirt. We'll provide a blue usher badge and a branded scarf to wear during your shift.
Will I be able to watch the performances?
Yes, whenever possible, ushers can watch the show from reserved seats at the back of the auditorium after all guests are seated. For sold-out nights, this may not always be possible, but we do our best.
That's exciting. Are there any other perks?
Besides free entry to most shows, all volunteers get a festival T-shirt and a thank you event at the end of the festival, where we serve pizza and hand out certificates of appreciation.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
That sounds like a lot of fun. How do I apply?
The easiest way is to fill out the online application form on our website. We'll ask for your contact details, availability, and a short statement about why you want to volunteer.
Do you need references?
Just one if possible. A teacher, manager, or someone who can vouch for your reliability. It's not essential but recommended.
What happens after I apply?
We'll email you to confirm your orientation session and shift schedule within a few days. If you have any specific dates you can't do, you can list them on your application.
I see. What time should I arrive for my shift?
Please arrive 30 minutes before your scheduled shift to check in and receive any last-minute instructions.
Is there parking available for volunteers?
Yes, we have a free volunteer parking lot behind the theater. Just give your name at the gate.
If I need to cancel a shift, what should I do?
Please contact us at least 24 hours in advance by phone or email. We understand emergencies happen, but the sooner you let us know, the better.
That makes sense. Thank you for all the details, Megan. I'm really looking forward to helping out.
We look forward to having you, Alice. Let me know if you have any other questions. Have a great day.
You too. Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 2. In this part, you will hear a monologue. A person is giving an orientation to a group of people. First, you have some time to read questions 11 to 15. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the Ashmere Wildlife Conservation Center. My name is Elena, and I'm the Assistant Programs Coordinator here. I'll be taking you through a short orientation before your visit begins. Now, Ashmere was founded over 40 years ago by a small group of conservationists with a passion for preserving native species. While it began as a bird sanctuary, it has since expanded to house mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and a large butterfly enclosure. Our primary goal is the rehabilitation of injured wildlife and the reintroduction of endangered animals into their natural habitats. Let me talk you through some of the key zones you'll find in the centre today. To your left is the wetland recovery area. This is home to species like the marsh harrier and the Eurasian bittern. These birds were once close to disappearing from the region, but conservation efforts have significantly increased their numbers. Straight ahead, you'll find the forest edge enclosure, which houses small mammals such as pine martens and red squirrels. These animals were rescued from various parts of the country and are being monitored before release. Just beyond that is the nocturnal habitat dome. This indoor area is kept dark during the day to allow animals like owls, bats, and hedgehogs to remain active for observation. Lastly, our education and research wing is where you can view live tracking maps, join short workshops, and learn about careers in conservation. It's also the only part of the centre with public access to our real-time monitoring systems. Please remember that while photos are allowed, we kindly ask that you don't tap on glass enclosures or make loud noises, as this disturbs the animals, especially those in the recovery stage.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 16 to 20. Now, listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, before you head off to explore, I want to introduce you to some of the volunteer guides who help us run this place. They'll be stationed around the grounds today and are available to answer any questions or lead small group discussions if you're interested. First, we have Martin, who's been volunteering with us for nearly a decade. He specializes in bird rehabilitation, particularly those found in marsh and wetland areas. If you're curious about how we reintroduce birds into the wild, he's your guy. Next, meet Priya. She works with school groups during the academic year, but also contributes heavily to our conservation education materials. She's passionate about community outreach and can talk to you about how we spread awareness in local towns. Then there's Callum, a recent graduate in environmental sciences. He joined us this year and has been focused on tracking wildlife populations using GPS and tagging equipment. He can show you how our monitoring stations operate. Also on hand is Joanna, who is in charge of our rescue operations. She's frequently out in the field, helping animals that have been injured or displaced. If you want to know what goes into a typical rescue mission, she's happy to share stories. Finally, we have Tariq, who has been helping with our habitat restoration projects. He knows all about how we restore damaged ecosystems, replant native vegetation, and create safe corridors for animal movement. All of these volunteers will be wearing green lanyards, so feel free to approach them at any time during your visit. They're looking forward to chatting with you.
That is the end of part 2. You have half a minute to check your answers. Part 3. Part 3 is an academic discussion between a student and a professor, or between two students. You need to listen to their conversation and answer questions based on that. First, you now have some time to read questions 21 to 25. Now, listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Good morning, Leo. I had a look at your proposal on digital museum experiences. Very interesting choice. How are you progressing?
Morning, Dr. Ramirez. Thanks for reviewing it. I've been refining my research question. I want to explore how virtual and augmented reality are changing the way visitors engage with art collections.
That's an exciting area. Museums are embracing technology rapidly. What specific aspects will you focus on?
I've narrowed it to 3: accessibility for people who can't travel, educational impact on younger audiences, and whether digital engagement enhances or diminishes the authenticity of seeing original works.
A solid trio. Are you comparing museums that use different technologies?
Yes. I've chosen the Louvre in Paris, which has a famous VR tour, the Smithsonian in Washington with interactive apps, and the British Museum, which uses augmented reality on tablets for some exhibits.
Excellent selection. And what data will you rely on?
I'm planning surveys of online users of these digital tools, plus analysis of visitor statistics published by the museums. I've also been reading academic articles about museum pedagogy and digital engagement.
And how about a theoretical framework?
I'm using Falk and Dierking's contextual model of learning. It helps explain how personal, socio-cultural, and physical contexts affect museum experiences. I'll adapt it to the digital sphere.
That's a wise choice. Make sure to explain the adaptation clearly. What about challenges? What difficulties are you facing so far?
Mainly gathering survey responses. Online users don't always reply, so my sample size is smaller than I hoped. Also, some museums restrict access to detailed statistics.
That's common. Acknowledge it as a limitation, but emphasize the richness of the responses you do collect.
Will do. Another issue is balancing enthusiasm for technology with criticism. Some articles argue that digital reproductions weaken the aura of original artworks.
Walter Benjamin's aura argument. That could be a great point for your discussion section. Technology gives access, but might also dilute the sense of uniqueness.
Exactly. I plan to quote Benjamin briefly, but then contrast it with modern perspectives that highlight democratization of culture.
Perfect balance. And what about the economic aspect? Museums often adopt technology to attract new audiences and generate revenue.
Yes, I've included that. For instance, the Louvre's VR Mona Lisa tour has been monetized, while the Smithsonian offers free access to reach wider audiences. I'll compare these models.
Excellent. Make sure to support that with references. And the word count. Where are you now?
I'm at about 3,600 words, aiming for 4,000. Still working on the analysis section.
That's fine. Keep refining your arguments rather than just adding more description.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Now, let's talk about the presentation. When is your slot?
Next Thursday at 1 o'clock p.m. Presentations are 10 minutes long, right?
Correct. 10 minutes plus 5 minutes of questions. What's your plan?
I'll start with a striking image, a split screen showing the Mona Lisa in person versus through a VR headset. Then I'll outline my 3 focus areas: accessibility, education, and authenticity.
Good opener. Visual contrast works well. What about your slides?
I'm preparing 7 slides in total. 1 intro, 3 for the focus areas, 1 on theory, 1 on limitations, and 1 conclusion.
That's a good number. Keep text minimal. Use images, charts, and bullet points.
I'll include a short demo video of the British Museum's AR app. It's about 40 seconds.
That's fine, but test it in advance. Videos can sometimes freeze.
Definitely. And when do I need to submit my slides?
Upload them to the university portal by Wednesday at 5 p.m., the day before your presentation.
Great. I'll submit earlier just in case. Thanks, Dr. Ramirez. This has been very helpful.
You're welcome, Leo. I'm looking forward to seeing the final product.
That is the end of part 3. Now you have 30 seconds to check your answers. Part 4. This part is a monologue where a person gives a seminar on a topic. You need to listen and answer all the questions at once. First, you have some time to read questions 31 to 40. Now, Listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Right. Let's begin today's lecture with a journey. One that stretches not across land or sea, but across centuries of human innovation. We're going to explore the history of cartography, or more simply, map-making, a field that has profoundly shaped the way we understand our world. So, where does it begin? While maps are typically associated with exploration and science, the earliest known maps were deeply symbolic. These were not accurate representations of geography, but rather spiritual or cosmological depictions of how early societies perceived their universe. For example, clay tablets found in Mesopotamia, dating back over 4,000 years, show carved diagrams believed to represent local rivers and cities, not to scale, of course, but in a way that reflected the social or religious importance of locations. Fast forward to ancient Greece, and we find a major shift. The Greek scholar Anaximander, living in the 6th century BCE, is often credited with creating one of the first conceptual world maps. Though his original map hasn't survived, we know that he imagined the world as a cylinder surrounded by ocean, a theory based more on philosophy than observation. Still, it marked an important step in the evolution of geographic thinking. More significantly, around 150 CE, the Greco-Roman scientist Claudius Ptolemy produced a comprehensive work called Geographia. This was revolutionary for two reasons. First, it introduced a grid system of latitude and longitude to reference specific locations, and second, it relied on mathematical calculations to determine distances and spatial relationships. While many of Ptolemy's geographical assumptions were wrong, the structure of his method laid the foundation for modern cartography. Cartography took another leap during the Age of Exploration, roughly spanning the 15th to 17th centuries. European navigators like Magellan and Columbus ventured into previously uncharted waters. As a result, maps became more detailed, more practical, and more global. This period saw the development of nautical charts, which prioritized coastlines, sea currents, and wind directions, vital for maritime navigation. At the same time, map projection became a crucial concern. You see, the Earth is a three-dimensional sphere, but maps are flat. This creates a problem. How do you represent a round world on a two-dimensional surface without distorting size, shape, or distance? The most famous solution came from Gerardus Mercator, a Flemish cartographer in 1569. His projection preserved angles, making it ideal for navigation, but it significantly distorted the size of land masses. Greenland, for example, looks much larger than it really is. Despite its flaws, the Mercator projection is still widely used today, especially in online maps. Another vital aspect of cartography is its political impact. Maps aren't neutral. They're tools that can shape perceptions. For instance, decisions about what to place at the center of a map, or how to represent borders, can reflect and reinforce political ideologies. In colonial times, maps were often used to legitimize territorial claims, sometimes erasing indigenous communities altogether. This is why modern cartographers must approach their work with cultural sensitivity and awareness of bias. Now let's shift our focus to technological innovations. In the 20th century, the introduction of aerial photography allowed for far more accurate topographical mapping. By the 1970s, the launch of satellites and the advent of remote sensing revolutionized the field even further. For the first time, cartographers could monitor large-scale environmental changes like deforestation or glacier melting from space. And of course, we can't ignore the game-changing role of Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. These are powerful computer programs that store, analyze, and display spatial data in layers. GIS enables urban planners to map population growth, environmental scientists to track biodiversity, and public health experts to monitor disease outbreaks. It's not just about maps anymore. It's about interactive, data-rich tools that help us solve real-world problems. The arrival of digital mapping and GPS technology in the 21st century has put cartographic tools into the hands of everyday users. Apps like Google Maps or OpenStreetMap rely on global satellite networks and crowdsourced updates. This democratization of mapping means that maps are constantly being updated, refined, and customized. And finally, let's consider one of the most exciting developments: participatory cartography. In places where official maps are lacking, such as informal settlements or remote regions, local communities are now creating their own maps using simple tools like smartphones and open-source software. This form of mapping gives visibility to areas that were previously overlooked and helps residents advocate for infrastructure and services. So as you can see, cartography is far more than drawing lines on paper. It's a constantly evolving science and art form, shaped by mathematics, politics, technology, and culture. And it continues to influence how we interact with the world around us.
That is the end of part 4. You have now 30 seconds to check your answers. You have now 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet.